Good morning, guys. Today we are doing a tutorial on wall bounce. Surprisingly, this is the first time someone's asked me about this, but this is actually one of the more interesting techniques in Mugen. It's actually kind of fun. So you can use wall bounce to continue into combos and other various things, or just for silliness. I've used it for silliness in the past. Um, so this is a basic Kung Fu Man. This is the 1.1 version of him, and I will show you his wall bounce and a version of his wall bounce that I condensed into a version that I like to use. This is a copy paste code at this point. So first off, here is Kung Fu Man's wall bounce. So I'll do it from across the end. So let's discuss what actually happens here. So first he gets hit, then he flies across the room, then he hits the wall, and then he bounces off the wall and hits the floor. That is essentially a wall bounce. Now let's start from the very top of the coding list. So this is that Kung Fu Man. In this Kung Fu Man in particular, his fast Kung Fu Palm, which is generally his EX move. You have to press light and heavy punch to do it. In your hit def, you have to use a P2 state number and a P2 facing. This will help P2 look at you whenever you hit them, and this will send player 2 into a custom state. The whole bouncing off the wall is a custom state, and it's important that you know how these work. I did a tutorial on custom states before. I'm going to put it on this video here somewhere that you can click on it and maybe go check that out. But basically, so we hit Kung Fu Man and you hit player 2 and you send them into state 1025 and they're facing you. So we got a 125, 1025, which is the hit by Kung Fu Man palm shaking from the hit, a custom hit state, C state 1020 for details. 1020 was that fast Kung Fu palm. So now this is the opponent, the enemy, in a custom state. So what's important to know? Type A means air. Move type H means hurt. Physics N means no physics. So basically you're declaring that the opponent who just got hit is in a custom state with no physics. They're in a hurt state, and they're in the air. This way, if they get hit out of the custom state, which they shouldn't, Mugen will know how to treat them. If this is on stand and they get hit in the air, they will stand in the air. Velocity 0, because you don't want them to move initially. Then you have a change animation 2. So change animation will make them play an animation in their file. Change animation 2 will make them play an animation in your file. Now the good thing about custom states is you can only use the safe numbers to use are the 5000s, because every character has a 5000 animation and you're guaranteed it'll work if you use 5000. Okay, then after you have a change state which triggers it, hit shake over. Hit shake over means when this number, where is it? Yeah, in this case, this 7. Actually, no. Yeah, it's the 7. Once the 7 ticks is over, it's gonna change state. If it's not this 7, is it 22? But I believe it's the 7. The pause time. Alright, so once the hit shake's over, they're gonna go to 1026. So 1026 is hit by fast Kung Fu Palm flying through the air. So now this is that same instant they get hit. It's like 7 milliseconds or something, and then they fly through the air. So as they're flying through the air, you still have the same declaration: air, hurt, no physics. Now you have the hit vel set, which is by having 1-1. Basically, you're saying these velocities right here is what's going to replicate this vel set right here. However, if you notice there's a red squiggly line, that means the state control is deprecated at 1.1, 1.0. Mugen was never finished. You know, this is like incomplete versions of it all around. So certain codes don't work in newer versions. This code still works, but there is a fix for it, and I'll show it to you later on. So this continues the vel set. So whatever the vel set was in the initial hit, this will keep that vel set. Then you have a vel add, which will work as a gravity code. Screen bound, so the screen does not scroll. And this one is to, yeah, so this screen bound is to keep the camera from not moving on the x-axis. It can move on the y-axis, but not the x-axis. And this is because you cannot, if the screen is moving, you can't guarantee it'll hit the wall. So you have to stop them from moving the screen. So that's why you have a screen bound code. And this is pretty much additional triggers from body distance, their location on the screen as they're flying through the air. And then you have a change state, which will happen when they're closer to the wall or less than the wall, which is 1027. And then a self state, which is if they don't hit the wall, they hit the ground, which is, velocity 0 and position y greater than or equals 0. If they fall into the ground, this will put them back into their own state, and they'll hit the floor and they'll get up and continue fighting like normal. So this is a safety, pretty much, that if you miss the wall, you hit the ground, you get up, you continue fighting. But if you do hit the wall after you start flying through the air, you hit the wall. And if you hit the wall, your set. I'm at a loss of words. Your state depth's still the same. You're still in the air. You're still hurt. You still have no physics. So now what happens is, after you hit the wall, it's a confusing order, but you're gonna position freeze. You're gonna stop moving. You hit the wall and take like a think of it as an invisible hit from the wall. So that's when you stop. That's the invisible hit. Then apparently he adds position to your body distance, and you turn around, obviously, and you bounce off the wall. You still have no screen bound. You don't want to move for the screen. It'll look weird. This spark here is the effect. I'll show you that again so you see the effect. You see these little wavy lines coming up behind him? That is the effect. This is the wall bounce effect that's right here. Okay, and then change animation time 2. Time equals 0. So this will change the animation to him hitting the wall and bouncing off the wall. Let's see if I can find it here. Oh, past it. Okay, so him flying through the air, and him hitting the wall, and yeah. Alright, so that's pretty straightforward. This is him hitting the wall. So he hits the wall, he freezes. He's still bound to the screen. He turns around, and the effect in the background. And you have a sound. You need a sound. The tricky thing about this, I'll talk later about that. So after you finish playing your animation, this is him hitting the wall, by the way. Your animation's over. Animation time equals 0 means the animation is finished playing. You go to your final state, 1028. 1028 is bouncing off the wall. So same state def, nothing's changed. So there's a not hit by code. This is to prevent you from being not hit by anything as you're falling down. That's the kind of gameplay Kung Fu Man has. I like to follow up with an air bounce code with other moves and stuff. So you have your vel set, which will make you bounce into the air. Your other vel set to make you bounce off the wall. Turn, which will turn. It's strange that there's two turn codes here. That's odd. Gravity code to make you go down. Ideally, you could essentially use gravity, but we use the vels. Kung Fu Man uses a vel add for some reason. And then you have multiple changes. So we have a self-falling animation. So instead of using a custom animation, we're going to use the player's own falling animation. So that's what these are. So change animation to if they have a self-falling animation. If they have a self-falling animation, a diagonal up type, which is usually a King of Fighters type of move. Coming down normal, which is, I guess, with your head tilted all the way back, your legs all the way up in the air. And same thing with the coming down diagonal type. And then when you hit the ground, you go back to self state. And this will, make you bounce off the ground. So let's just show that again. So he's hit. He's flying through the air. Hits the wall. He flies backwards, turns around. hits the ground, and boom, that's self state 5100. So now the player has control again. Alright, so that's pretty much how to do a wall bounce. It's in 4 states in Kung Fu Man. So what I did is I took this and I condensed this, and I changed some things. So this is my Krillin that I'm working on, and I lost his wall. Oh, I renumbered his wall bounce code to 5400. So ideally in Mugen, states 5000 to 5300 are used, and 5400 is not used. And I've used it as a wall bounce code because it seems like a decent number to use. So same thing for me. Once the player enters the wall bounce state using a trigger, well, a hit def really, I used my AZ button. So same thing. Player 2 state number equals 5400, whatever state number you want to use. P2 facing equals 1. That's a must to get them into the state. Now, for me, I use 2 codes. Once you're in the state, I declare the same thing. Type equals air, move type equals hurt, physics equals n. I set the vel set to 0 because I don't want them to move, and they have no control, just in case. You probably don't need this, but it's a habit. So now, after they get hit, you have the change animation 2, which is they're going to play my animation of 5400, which is somewhere over here. It looks like 1 frame on Krillin, but it's actually 2. See? It's 2 frames. So they're going to play that animation. And once that animation is set, and hit shake over equals 1, they're going to go to x equals hit vel x, x equals hit vel y. So now this code here, this is equal to this. No, actually no, this. So I've condensed this coding here. What? I lost it. Oh. I've condensed this coding into pretty much just these 2 lines here. So now if you see this red squiggly line, it tells you the controller is deprecated, which means it's old, it's preferred not to use. It is not recommended you use it. So what you have to use is you can't use hit vel set, so you have to use a vel set. And by using a vel set, you have to change your triggers. You can't use 1-1, it'll be extremely slow. So what you do use is use hit vel x and hit vel y. So you still keep the same vel set as before, but you know, you just have to change the code to work. And this is the 1.0 and 1.1 method. This is the correct way to code this, since you cannot, it's not recommended to use hit vel set. You could still use hit vel set, but I decided not to. Then you have the gravity code. In the gravity code, the most important trigger to these things is you have the trigger all for the animation. So once you are doing the flying through the air animation, then these 2 will work. And this will only work, yeah, actually both are the same. I probably increased this, it looks funny, but same values. All these are the same. And then you have your screen bound codes. I think I copied this. This looks copied to me, but it works. So no scrolling left and right. And this is when you hit the wall, you go to 5401. If you hit the ground, you go to 5100. And then you go to the actual hit the wall thing. So in my case, I still use these 2 triggers even though they're probably not needed. I like to keep them there. Alright, so then you have your environment shake, which shakes the whole screen when you hit the wall. The spark that appears behind them. Play sound for that spark. And after 10 ticks, they will change animation to 1061. 1061 is this one where they're falling down. Turn will happen at the same time at 10 ticks, and the vel set to bounce off the wall part will be 10 ticks also. And then I actually use the gravity code to make them fall down naturally, and the self state to make when they hit the ground. So that's pretty much how I did it. So you have the initial hit, which sends them into the wall bounce, which plays your animation, has them flying through the air, has them flying a little downward because gravity and all, bounds them to the screen so they can't move off the screen, safety code just in case. Then you have the, actually this is the hit code when they hit the wall. You have the hit wall code. You have the shaking when they hit the wall, the background effect when they hit the wall, the sound when they hit the wall, the turning and the bounce off when they hit the wall, gravity to send them back to the ground, and safety to make them land and get back up. So now I'm going to show you the Krillin's version. So Krillin's version is much faster just because the way the Velset codes work, but this is how Krillin's works. And I kind of like that for Krillin because of the character that he is. Let's do it again. So he hits, he shakes, he flies, he hits, effect, bounces off, hits the ground, gets up, does a dance. And that's pretty much how you do a wall bounce code. Now, for the sake of just showing you my values for the wall bounce, it's also an 8, but it's much faster. So I'm going to try like a 7. Okay, and see like a good wall bounce because you probably don't want your character to fly as fast as that. So um, still fast. Let's try it. 3. Where am I? Nope, I lost. Nope, still lost. Oh, you know what? I actually have 2 deaths here, but this is the correct one anyways. It's an air move, so I have 2 deaths to be safe. Yeah, so like the 3 looks like a good value. You can use whatever value you feel like. I'm making a Dragon Ball Z character. They hit hard, they hit fast, so for me it works out really well. That's on you. Yeah, I like 8 because I have a follow-up move, so it works well. But that's pretty much how you do it. That's a bad example. But yes. So to recap, you could literally copy Kung Fu Man's code, the 4 states, 1025 to 1028, and that's shaking from the hit, flying through the air, hitting the wall, and bouncing off the wall. Or you can use a version of it that I use because I think it works better. Maybe not better, but it works better for me. Initial wall bounce code, which is getting hit, flying through the air, and then hitting the wall. And then after you hit the wall, you shake, effects, turn around, fall down, get back up. Now I'm just going to leave this here on the screen for a second, just so you can see the code. Pause the video if you want to copy exactly as it is. Alright, and that's that. In terms of animation for Kung Fu Man, you could just copy his animations, I mean, or figure it out yourself. It's not that hard. Yeah, and I mean, Krillin's is a more basic version of that, so I think it works better, honestly, but it's up to you and what you're after. Actually, Krillin just uses one for animation, which is interesting. Hitting the stomach. Hitting the stomach harder. Yeah, that's it. Well, thanks for watching. Bye.